went down to Chattanooga, Gatlinburg for a couple of days.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do this first, and I'm like, no, I wanna do this last.
Yeah.
So I just live in Clarksville.
Okay.
So.
Too bad.
You wanna hold it again?
Cheer.
Let's see. Yeah, it's been about half the time, so we'll I'll take that bowl from you and I'll get her. And if you want to have a seat, you wanna-
Situated.
Yeah.
Oh, she's behind that?
No, she's just scratching.
I've got an itch on my face.
Alright, so you grab underneath here and grab her little leg. Come on, girl.
Banana.
You're gonna do my camera.
You're probably better off in this chair.
You think so?
Yeah, in that chair, kind of, if you can slouch back a little bit more, she feels a little bit more secure and doesn't think that she has to claw in as hard. So if she's sitting back like this, she doesn't have to hold on to your shoulders as tight. But again, if she gets too taut, all you have to do is just tap her paw. She should loosen up just a little bit. Thank you, girl. She says, "You got more food for me?"
I do. That's what she said.
And just support her underneath her booty. Remember, she doesn't like her sides to be touched. You just want to stay around the sides there.
Let's go.
This is training for my new grandbaby who's coming in November.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
And Zoe was our first sloth baby, so she was quite spoilt. And when she first started showing any signs that she didn't really like her sides to be touched or her belly to be messed with, or her ears to really be shown, then we were just kind of like, we just backed off. We're like, okay, that's all you just let us know what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And we never really worked with her on that. And because of that, she's still really picky about if people get too close to her sides, petting her, she's like, hey, I don't really like that. And especially sometimes when she's exploring, she'll lay all the way back and show people her belly. And it's kind of hard to resist, petting the belly because it's like she's showing it to you.
Yeah.
And sometimes people forget that I've told them not to. And she gets really upset about it. And she leans forward and does a sit up real quick. And she's like,
That's where their main organs are.
Mhm.
It's just
Do
like,
they-
Yeah.
like my cat.
yeah.
Do they make noises like?
Sometimes, so they can, if they feel threatened, they can make a little bit of a hiss. And then females as well, when they go into heat, they let out a really loud screech that lets the males know in the area that she is in season and ready to be bred.
Yeah.
And they will all make their way, to her. And the first one to get there will be the lucky winner. And then they can also make little whimpering noises. So Zoe, this is her favorite spot to be. I mean, she loves to be in people's laps. She is a cuddler. This is what she's known since she was a baby. And she does enjoy the time that she gets to spend out and with people. And so oftentimes if I go to put her back in her enclosure and I lay her down in her hammock, if I don't go right out and close the door and I kind of stand there for a minute, she'll start climbing through the trees at me and reaching out like, hey, pick me up. And she'll be going, oof, 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 when she does that. So they can make little upset noises like that.
No, what about at night, like when everybody goes home kind of thing? They just-
Not really. We do have cameras in their rooms and we do watch them. We've never seen any kind of signs like that or anything.
Now, when they're pregnant, how long they're pregnant for? The gestation?
The two-toed sloths are pregnant for 11 months. That's quite a long time.
Yeah.
And you can imagine everything with a sloth is slow, so even digesting, or digesting.
Are they going to have like twins or anything like that?
They can occasionally, but the sloth only really has the means to support one baby. So it will be the stronger of the two that will survive. The weaker one will pass pretty quickly. And so if you think about the sloth's diet in the rainforest, they're eating leaves off of the sarcopia trees. And those leaves are very low in caloric content, and you need calories to be able to make energy, make ATP. And so if they don't already have that many calories, they don't really have the means to be expending energy on things that they don't need to do, which is why sloths sleep a lot of the time. So sloths on average sleep about 15 to 16 hours a day.
Wow.
Scientists used to think that they slept upwards to 20 hours a day, But they changed that number when they realized that some of the time that they thought the sloths were sleeping, they were just hanging there not doing anything with their eyes open. And that's because since sloths have a really low energy,
Crossing arms.
they don't really have extra energy to be expending just climbing around doing things other than eating and digesting their food. So sloths don't feel like they have to constantly be doing something like we do oftentimes. Because if you told me to just sit there and not do anything for an hour straight, I'd get pretty bored pretty quick. But they don't feel that way.
On my camera, can you press it onto the video thingy? And then it's the same thing. And then just get Michelle feeding. Well, that's what it is. Zoe, you're so sweet. One for the bucket list. I don't know. Now, weight-wise, how much can they get up to?
So the two-toed sloths are bigger than the three-toed sloths. They can get up to be anywhere between 15 to 20 pounds. And then the three-toed sloths are a lot smaller. So two-toads are built kind of like a truck on the inside, and the three-toads are built a little bit more like a sports car. So they both have a total of 46 ribs, so that's double what we have. Those ribs go all the way down almost right to where their hips start. And with all of those ribs, there's connective tissue that's adhered tightly to their organs and intestines to keep everything where it's supposed to be. And that design really helps them to be able to survive falls from really high up in the air. They can survive a fall from up to 100 feet. And that's because when their bodies smack the rainforest floor, their intestines stay right where they're supposed to. And so for us, if you think about getting into a car accident, you know, our bodies are going to hit the steering wheel, and then our intestines are going to hit our body cavity, and that's where we get a lot of internal damage. But they don't have that issue because everything is just where it's supposed to be, with all of those 46 ribs and the connective tissue that is adhered to them.
Zoe.
And all they drink is water, or?
They don't really drink a whole lot of water. In the rainforest, you know, it's a really wet and moist environment, so a lot of times those leaves will have water in them. Sometimes they'll lap that up, but most of the time they get their water requirements from their veggies. We do have water dishes in there that they do drink a little bit out of, just because we don't mist the food or anything like that before we give it to them. But they don't drink a whole lot.
And how many times do you have to feed you?
They're pretty much snackers, so they just kind of snack throughout the day. There's a set time at 10 o'clock in the morning that they get their breakfast, and then in the evening around 5 o'clock they get their dinner. But then throughout the day, as she does encounters, a lot of times she expects that she's going to get a snack like this, and she'll snack again. Especially Dash, our baby, he snacks a lot.
Are you slowing down? So what do they eat for breakfast and what do they eat for dinner?
Pretty much this. It varies just a little bit, but sloths are pretty much creatures of habit. They like to stick to the same routine, and which is why all of our sloth encounters are booked for the same time every day, and no sloth encounters for more than a total of 2 hours a day, if that. A lot of times they don't even get to this. This is Zoe's first encounter for the day. So this morning, yeah, a lot of times we'll have from 10 to 10:30, people will encounter with Flash. He comes out here and he gets his breakfast. And then right afterwards, from 10:30 to 11, she gets an encounter. And she starts to know that if we're out here and we're talking about Flash and we're out here moving around and giving him his breakfast, she knows she's next. And so she'll kind of get a little bit antsy and start rolling around and expecting her turn.
I'm not touching your belly.
Got one more.
She's like, oh. She's holding her belly.
Right?
Yeah, she might be snuggling in now.
Take a picture real quickly like this. Quick selfie.
Do you want a selfie or want me to take it?
You can take it. Almost like she falling asleep. Yeah.
likes to sleep kind of curled up like that. And you can actually see how much her spine is curved right now. You know, we can curl our backs over and slouch, but we can't really bend it to that extent. She can actually bend it even more than what she is right now.
The lady with the bowl, where did she go?
Just the sweetest.
And so they're actually part of the super order called Zathorans, and Zathoran means hinged spine. So they are distantly related to the armadillo. She is in the same enclosure as a three-banded armadillo in there because it's a little bit of enrichment for both of them. They can both kind of watch each other move around and kind of wonder about them and what they're doing. And so it's just a little bit something to keep her mind active. But the anteater, the armadillo, and the sloths are all part of that super order called Zathorans. So I can, you know, obviously I'm bad about slouching. I can slouch like this, but the Zathorans, they can bend all the way to where their head's like in their crotch.
And they're roaring.
Yeah.
She's a sweet.
Yeah, he goes take a picture of her. No. Oh, I don't know if she gets my arm.
So in the wild, they have a lot of moss and algae that grows all throughout their fur. They use that as camouflage, so from the rainforest floor looking up, you can't really see that there's a sloth up there. There's also a lot of moths that live all throughout their fur, and it's called the sloth moth. That's the only place that that moth lives in the whole world. And we don't have any here because they're not native to this area.
They wouldn't survive it.
Yeah, but there is a really specific relationship between the two, and it's a symbiotic relationship, meaning that both the moth and the sloth benefit from it. So the moth benefits because once a week when the sloth uses the bathroom, they go down the same tree on the same side of the tree to the same pile that they left the week prior. And in that pile was laid larvae from those moths from the week before. So the moths will climb down and lay their larvae. Those larvae will develop into adult moths, and they will climb back up onto the sloth. So it benefits the moth because it's just basically a little Uber to and from their breeding ground. And then in that Uber, it's free food. So all the moss and algae that's growing on the sloth, they eat. So that's how it benefits the moth, but it also benefits the sloth because when the sloth turns around to groom themselves, they lick up a portion of those moths, and that is their form of protein in the wild. They also will eat a variety of small bugs and insects that are on the leaves that they're eating. That'll keep their protein requirements up. While they're grooming themselves, they also lick up a portion of the moth's waste that's in their fur, and that waste is where they get the bacteria for their gut to be able to digest their food. So they don't digest their food through an enzymatic process like we do, it's a bacterial process, and they rely on that bacteria colony to stay stable so that they can digest their food. So here in captivity, since we don't have those moths, they don't have a constant way to replenish that bacteria colony if they were to start to die off. And so they really have to watch that. You know, we have to make sure everything stays stable because they can't maintain their own body temperature. So if we left a door open, that would begin to slowly kill their bacteria colony, and they would not be able to digest their food. And since we don't have those moths, there's not a way for them to replenish that stock. So sloths are very, very sensitive in all of the dietary and environmental requirements that they need. And so there's no reputable breeder of sloths in the United States that would sell one of their babies to the general public without prior knowledge of owning a sloth. Before we got Zoe, we had Flash, and we had experience with a sloth, but Zoe's breeder, and the same breeder that we got Dash from, our baby, you know, he went through rigorous questioning of us to make sure that we knew all of the things about sloths that you have to know just in order to keep one alive. There's a lot that goes into it, and so we get questions all the time about, where did you get your sloth? How can I get a sloth? Can I get a sloth as a pet? And
Don't worry about that, it's like,
terrible,
yeah.
terrible idea. There's a lot that goes into it. They're very, very sensitive animals.
You like sleeping?
And so that kind of beckons the question of, well, how do they get the bacteria colony in the first place if we don't have the moths that live on them and the bacteria that they can lick up off of their fur? And that's because on day 3, when the sloth is just 3 days old, they'll climb onto the mother or the stomach of the mother and come up and lick the corners of the mother's mouth. And in the corners of her mouth is a lot of saliva mixed with her food that she's been eating. And the bacteria that she has in her gut is also in her saliva. And when the baby licks that, that's where they get the first bacteria to be able to start creating their own bacteria
It's like
colony.
immunity.
Yeah, basically. And they will keep that bacteria colony the rest of their lives as long as everything is just right. So since they have such specific requirements for the temperature, so it's a constant 78 degrees in here, never drops below that. If it did, then the sloths would not be able to keep their body temperature up, and their body temperature would start to drop as well. And because of that, the bacteria would not be able to live in an environment like that.
Like you guys have generators like you use?
Yeah. Yeah, we have backup generators. And up at the house, our baby Dash, he spends most of his time up there until he's a year old. He's only 8 months old right now. And he stays in the owner's bedroom in an enclosure in there, unless he's coming down for his encounters. And it is 78 degrees in their house, and they keep it a constant 78 degrees. So, I don't know a lot of people that would enjoy keeping their houses at 78.
Gotta love your animals.
Yeah, that's what they
Where
require.
are her ears?
So, we'll see if she'll let me show them. Yeah, they're behind just a little bit of hair that's on their head. She doesn't love it when people look at her ears because I have to move the hair back, but it's right there. Let's see if I can show you from this side.
Oh, there you go. Oh, did we wake you up? I'm sorry,
That's
darling.
my ear.
I'm sorry, darling.
Should bring a car seat. Bring her home. Give Eric the boot and bring her in. She's much calmer.
And you like 78 degrees. You are just adorable. Oh my gosh, this is just incredible.
Our time is up, unfortunately, so I'll get her.
But you know what? This just made the trip worth it.
She was
Absolutely.
awesome, like
Hey, Taylor.
from what they're doing for a long
What's
time.
that?
Oh,
Florida, just through the gate, we made it going the right way.
how long have you been doing this?
I've only been here for about 3 weeks, believe it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Have you been to the rainforest down south?
I have not.
actually seen them in the wildlife.
I have not. That is a dream of mine. I want to.
Oh, I bet.
I wanna go to Costa Rica.
Can I step in here and like take a picture of her?
Once I do set her down, but we'll have to get out pretty quick, otherwise she's gonna start climbing back through. That's the house that are down there.
Just a bit. The speed racer.